So this week was a bit frustrating, and I'll get into more of the details towards the end of the video. But the first part of this is me getting the return line fuel flange fitted to that inner rib on the right tank. If you remember from last week, I may end up doing fuel injection, and if so, I need to have a return line to return the low pressure fuel back to the fuel tank while it's operating. But got that fitted up, and then did the rest of the dry fitting for the rest of the right tank, make sure everything fit properly. And then I spent some time putting together and building the small, what I'll call caps or covers for the small 3/16 holes that are used to hold the pieces in place while they are hydroforming them back at Vans. I used relatively small pieces of aluminum for this, just to keep the profile a little bit lower and make sure that I had good coverage. I didn't want the pieces to be too large because I was afraid that if I put the rivets too far away from that 3/16 hole, then I would get a gap between the cover plate and the cap when it comes to the proseal. So I figured if I made it relatively small, the attachment points for the rivets would be relatively close to the 3/16 hole, and I would get nice good coverage and a good seal on those. So I made sure everything fit properly, and I did a dry fit before I started doing the proseal. The proseal starts right here in this part of the video where I'm getting everything fitted up and starting to do some pre-mixing and whatnot. You'll see the nitrile gloves go on so I can start doing some mixing of the proseal and not get my hands all filthy. The frustrating part of this week is how difficult the proseal is to work with. Austin Mankey in Arizona is building an RV-10, and he's, I think, nearly done with his, or at least close. But I've watched his videos a number of times, and I've tried to learn from his experience and try to learn from his pointers to make my experience a little bit better. But I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those trial by error and learn by experience situations where it's just difficult to work with. For those of you that are also in construction like me, if you've ever heard of blackjack, it's a roofing material, and the joke is that as soon as you open the jar, it gets all over everything, including your clothes, and it seems like proseal is just as bad. It's one of those things where it's so viscous and it's so tacky that it sticks to absolutely everything, so it's very difficult to work with, and you forget where you put it, and then you spread it somewhere else, and it just gets all over everything. So it's a little frustrating to work with. I'm sure that I'll get better with time, but for the time being, it's frustrating and taxing. It's a trial on my patience, but I'm sure I'll make some progress as the tank goes on. I've got everything prosealed up and riveted up, so the next week we'll go into the stiffeners and ribs, I hope.